Well, let's talk now to Yawei Liu, who's a senior advisor on China at the Carter Center and adjunct professor of political science at Emory University. Good to have you with us on the programme. Thanks for joining us. So what are your expectations for this visit? How high are the stakes?
Well, my expectations are just like the previous visit by Secretary Blinken, by Janet Yellen, as well as by Senator Kerry. First expectation is top Chinese leaders, including Xi Jinping, Li Qiang, and He Lifeng, will come out and meet with her. My second expectation is that the Chinese leaders will complain ferociously about Americans' initial decoupling and now what we call de-risking effort to contain China. And she certainly will try her best to explain. I think the Chinese leaders also should make it clear to her that China remains open for global investment and trade. And finally, Gina Raimondo is going to visit Shanghai. I think her message to the businesses, particularly American business in Shanghai, that is, they should try to do their best not to decouple with China.
What do you make of the timing of her visit to China?
The timing is very interesting. This is right after the BRICS. BRICS certainly shows to the world that developing countries, emerging economies are trying to form their own bloc. And then G20 is around the corner in September, whether President Xi and President Biden are going to meet in Delhi. And thirdly, of course, is the APEC meeting in November in San Francisco. That's what all eyes are on, is if Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo has the part of the mission is to negotiate the terms of the summit in San Francisco.
And there's been this suggestion from the United States that this visit will help stop competition from tipping into conflict. Can this visit do that?
I'm not sure this visit can do that, but certainly it shows a pattern from the USA, to erect the so-called guardrails to prevent this from going in. But the thing is, every time something good happens and then something bad will happen subsequently. For example, the investment order, from Biden to restrict American investment in high-tech area. That happened right after Janet Yellen's visit. So I hope, nothing like that is going to happen after this visit, because anything like that will be interpreted by the China side as, you have talk in one way but act in another way.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that order from Joe Biden restricting US firms from investing in certain areas of China's tech sector. Do you think we will see any discussions about this?
As I mentioned, the China side will complain. This is one of the things they're going to complain very loudly. I think the restriction, the order, if you look at the total of American FDI into China, it's very little. But overall, it does have a chilling effect on American investors and manufacturers because, they're always concerned that U.S. approach of, having a small yard and a high fence, that fence keeps moving. Without that certainty, American businesses, American investors are going to be very reluctant. So symbolically, I think this has a huge impact on the relationship between the two countries, economic relationship.
Yawei Liu from the Carter Center, great to speak to you today. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
Thank you for having me.